Okay, so now building a mentor and peer network. So these are two things that I feel very, very strongly about, and I think can completely change your business and your outlook as you grow your career. So what does building a mentor network mean? A mentor network is basically building a group of people that are seasoned, that are generally older than you are, that have more experience than you do, that have done what you would like to do and what you would like to accomplish, and that can give you advice. So the mentors are people who you feel that will care about you, who want you to succeed, and who will give time, usually once a month or once a quarter, to just talk to you about what you're doing. And that is super powerful because a mentor network, well, when sometimes mentor network, it's hard to meet at once. Usually you meet with them individually, unless you have a board where you'll meet with them as a group. But you'll meet with them and they'll help give you like a much higher level vision of like, what are you actually working on? What are the problems you're facing? And they're gonna be people who help take you out of the daily grind. When you're in a company, especially in this startup environment, where you're just in this daily grind, and this happens even outside of being an entrepreneur, even as an employee in most companies. And you're just in this daily grind and you lose perspective of the bigger picture. A mentor just asks you like high-level questions and helps you critique what you do on a daily basis, and can give you answers to questions that you usually either don't even ask, you don't even ask those questions, or give you a different perspective. So you always want to speak with mentors, and yes, they've run their businesses 10, 20 years ago, so it's not 100% parallel because the world has changed in the last 10, 20 years, but there's always insights around hiring and people operations and marketing that are always valuable. So you just want to listen to them, listen to their anecdotes, listen to their stories, and take out value. And the last thing is peer networks, building a peer network. A peer network is basically a group of people that are in your shoes. They might not be in the same industry, but they're in the same type of situation. If you're a founder, they're a founder. If you're a mid-level manager, they're a mid-level manager. You're a senior exec, they're a senior exec. And you have a group of people, usually this is done together, you meet as one group. And this is where you share very openly what's going on in your life, in your business, and you can speak about anything. Usually you don't want this to be, you don't want this to be your customers, your suppliers, your business partners. You want this to be people who you trust, people who are close friends, and people who you can be very honest with, right? So if it's a customer, it's a little more complicated. So you want to have everyone be kind of pretty, everyone can be really open because there's no constraints. And again, the industry is not that as relevant, right? So you could be in technology, and they could be in fashion or media or something else. But as long as there's a lot of similarities between roles, just if you're kind of in the same situation. And so I can give you an example of how peer network was useful. When so I was meeting with a group of people that I respect, and we have this peer network, and I was talking, like, what are you guys currently working on? And at that time, we were hiring our first salesperson. So we hadn't hired a salesperson before, and it just so happened that another person on the team had just finished hiring their first salesperson and had done a lot of research on screening and hiring and the whole process of hiring salespeople. So they were able to just pass that all along, saved us a lot of time and energy, and there's a lot of interesting takeaways that they were able to provide for us. Just we spoke for like half an hour, and we got all these answers from what they had done, what they had spent hours of research and meeting with different people to get that information. So the value of the peer network is and a lot of it is huge. And a lot of the times you'll be in a setting, and when you're, especially again for entrepreneurs, it's a very kind of lonely environment because you're kind of responsible for employees. If you have investors, your investors, customers, supplier relationships, and then all these other parts of the business. So it's kind of a very tough situation to be in. And you think that a lot of the problems that you face are only problems that you face, and other people don't have any problems. Whereas when you sit at a table and you realize that a lot of the problems, even though they're in different industries, your peer network had these same problems. And that gives you a lot of, you're able to think through the problems together. and see how they think about it, see how they face those challenges, see how they interpret them and look at them. So I think there's a lot in optimizing your peer network and mentor network that add a lot of value in the future. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today, and hope you guys found some value in it.